When you hear the word propaganda, what comes to mind? Maybe Nazi Germany or the Soviet Union, North Korea. Most of us picture giant banners, military parades, and governments controlling every newspaper, which that all sounds a little too close to home right now. But here's a question I'd like you to consider. What if propaganda isn't defined by who uses it? What if it's defined by how information is presented? And if that's true, could propaganda exist inside a democracy? Could it exist in advertising, in political campaigns, or social media? Could we even participate in it without realizing it? Today, I'd like to explore not whether propaganda exists, but how it works. So we all think we're immune, right? I mean, one of the fascinating things about propaganda is that almost everyone believes it works. On the Joe Schmo over there. Not us. Very few people say, I'm vulnerable to propaganda. So if everybody thinks the other is wrong, who is right? Instead, we say, those people have been manipulated. Psychologists sometimes call this the third person effect. The tendency to believe media influences others more than ourselves. That belief can make us less likely to examine our own assumptions. And that's where I'd like to begin. Not with them, with us. So stick around as we talk about propaganda. So what is propaganda? Let's define it. Propaganda isn't simply lying. In fact, some propaganda is completely true. And that's what surprises people. Propaganda is communication designed to shape beliefs, attitudes, emotions, or behavior towards a particular goal. Sometimes it uses facts, and other times it leaves the facts out. Sometimes it exaggerates. Sometimes it relies on symbols more than evidence. Sometimes it simplifies a complex issue into a story with heroes and villains. And once you understand that, you begin to see propaganda differently. So propaganda isn't anything new. I mean, it's much older than radio. Roman emperors commissioned statues, monuments, and coins bearing their image to reinforce authority. Coins with images? Religious institutions use stained glass windows and paintings to teach stories to largely illiterate populations. During the American Revolution, pamphlets like Common Sense by Thomas Paine helped persuade colonists towards independence. It wasn't government propaganda, but it was persuasive communication intended to influence public opinion. In World War I and in World War II, governments on both sides, all sides, created posters encouraging enlistment, buying war bonds, conserving food, or viewing the enemy in a particular light. Nazi Germany used propaganda to dehumanize entire groups of people. The Soviet Union used it to celebrate the state and suppressed dissent. During the Cold War, the United States also produced films, educational materials, and public campaigns promoting democracy and warning about communism. These examples are not morally equivalent. The goals, methods, and consequences varied enormously. The point is that many societies have used persuasive communication to influence public opinion, for the good or the bad. So why does this work? Propaganda usually doesn't succeed because people are unintelligent. It succeeds because it taps into something deeply human: fear, hope, belonging, identity. Those are strong words. And when somebody uses those and twists them, we become susceptible to that. Psychologists have found that we often process emotionally charged information more quickly than carefully reasoned arguments. And when you have someone in power who realizes that, they use that as a divisive tool. If a message makes us angry, afraid, or proud, we're more likely to remember it and more likely to share it. We also tend to seek information that confirms what we already believe, a tendency known as confirmation bias. Now, none of this means that we're doomed to be manipulated. It means that we're human. So what does propaganda look like now? Well, sometimes it's political, what we're seeing right now in our administration. Sometimes it's commercial. Sometimes it's spread by governments. Sometimes by corporations. A lot of times by corporations. And then you have the influencers. But sometimes by ordinary people sharing a post because it aligns with what they already believe. The technology has changed, but human psychology hasn't. So instead of asking, is this propaganda? We might ask these questions. What is this message trying to accomplish? What emotions is it trying to evoke? What information is included? And what's missing? A really critical question is, who benefits if I believe this? And these questions don't require cynicism. They require curiosity. So if there's one thing I hope you take away from today's conversation, it's this: that recognizing propaganda isn't about assuming everyone is lying. It's about becoming more aware of how persuasion works. History doesn't ask us to distrust everything. It asks us to examine things more carefully. So the next time a message makes you instantly angry and outraged, or instantly certain, pause. Ask a few questions. Not because skepticism is the goal, because understanding is. I'm Anna, and this is the White Rose Resistance. Stay safe, stay curious, question everything, but hate no one.